In this part, we are going to talk about arrays in C. Okay, but before we start, let us understand what an array is. So an array is a collection of elements of the same data type stored in continuous memory locations. Okay, so arrays are very useful when you want to store multiple values in a single variable instead of creating multiple variables. Okay, you can declare an array using this syntax. Okay, so first of all, you need to provide the data type, okay, which is like the type of elements, okay, in that array that are going to be in that array. Okay, then from there you provide the array name. Okay, in this case I'm going to name it numbers. Okay, like that. Then from there you need to use the square brackets, and in here you can provide in the size. Okay, the size, and in this case let me provide 5. Okay, like that. Okay, so from there I can just do like that. Okay, so here I've created an array, okay, called numbers. Okay, so let us now take a look at how we can initialize arrays. Okay, so there are multiple ways to initialize an array. Okay, so let us first look at the first one, which is at the time of declaration. Okay, and this one you can do it like this. So you declare an array, and then you initialize it like this. Okay, so we use the curly brackets, then you can put in the elements, okay, like that, then the parentheses. Then you can do it like that. Then another way is by using the partial initialization, okay, technique, and this one we just do it like this. Okay, so you can provide some elements like this, and the rest are 0 by default. Okay, so let us do it. Let us try to print out our numbers. Okay, so we can so the number, they are in form of integers like that. Then we use the %d as specifier, format specifier. Then here we want to get the numbers. Okay, so to get to get the element that we want, we use the name of an array, and then we get the address, like the to get this we use indexes. Okay, we use indexes, and we need to note that this one is in position 0. Okay, the 1 is in position 0 in that array. Okay, and 2 is in position 1 in that array. Okay, we start from 0, and we give those elements, okay, positions. Okay, and those positions start from 0 going up. Okay, so let us get our 2. Okay, so 2 is in position 1 like that. So if we save and then we try, let us open terminal, just press terminal, new terminal, like that. So from there, let us wait. I'm going to be using PowerShell in order to cater for those who are using Linux. So here I'm going to use GCC compiler. So here I'm going to execute. Let me execute. As you can see, we get 2 out. Okay, so let us try to access other variables which have not declared, which have not initialized. Okay, like for those ones in position 3, like that. Okay, so if we try to compile and then we run, as you can see, they have been initialized to 0. Okay, the one that have not provided. Okay, so they have now been set to 0 by default. Okay, so let us look at another way of initializing a variable. Okay, an array. Okay, so this one we just let the compiler determine the size. Okay, so for this case we don't provide the size like that. We don't provide the size. Okay, so if we save and then we run our program like that, as you can see, so the size, as you can see, if we want to access the one in position 3, as you can see, we get this this number which we don't know where it comes from. Okay, so but if we try to access our element at index 0, as you can see, we get it. Okay, we get it. But if we try to access those ones out of the bound, so for example 2, okay, 2, want to access element at index 2, as you can see, we get these numbers. Okay, these numbers that we don't want. Okay, so let us try to see how we can access our elements. Okay, which you have seen here. We can access it. We can also change. Okay, we can also change the values. Okay, we can also change the values by doing this. So let us access like 1. Let's access 2. If we try to do that, remember it is going to give us 2, okay? It gives us 2. Let us try to see how we can change it, okay? So to change the value, we just get the number, the name of the array, and then we use the square brackets, and then we get the index, so it is 1, okay? The index of that element we want to change, and then we set it to be equals, let us set it to be equals 7, okay? And after doing that, we are going to print it out, okay? We are going to print the element at index 7, at index 1. So if we compare and then we run, as you can see, we get the element at index 1, okay? At index 1, okay? So let us now take a look at how we can loop through an array, okay? So loops are commonly used to process arrays, okay? So for example, let us print all the elements. So for example, let us have here 3, and let us have 3, then 4, then 5, like that. Let us have 5 here, 5 there, and let us comment out this one. It is no longer useful, so let me reduce this, okay, window. Then from there, let us loop through all. Let me just remove this one. So we are going to use the for loop, okay, to loop through all. Then this one, the int is going to be 1. Then we are going to set the integer, the position. This one is going to be like the index, okay, the index, okay. Index is going to be 0. We are going to set it to be 0. Then we are going to compare. We get the index and we set it. It is going to be less than 5. Less than 5. So 5 won't be inclusive. Okay. Then we increment. After incrementing, then we are going to come here. Then instead of increment, we are incrementing I, which does not exist. Let us increment the index. Then from there, we are going to come here, and then we are going to print out. We are going to print out our element, okay? So the first element that we are going to print out is going to be we are going to access it at index, okay, using the index, okay, like that, okay, like that. So here, what are we doing here? We are accessing, so the index is going to be 0 at first, okay? It's going to be 0, but the condition here, it is less than 5, okay, as you can see. So when the index is 0, we are going to, so when the index is 0, it means inside here we have 0, okay? So we are going to access an element of the numbers array, here, which is at position at index 0, which is 1, okay? So after accessing it, we are going to loop to repeat the loop, okay, when after incrementing, okay, index. So index is now going to be 1, okay? So when it is 1, this condition is going to be checked, okay, when it is 1, okay? So after checking, if it is true, then this one is going to run again when index equals to 1, okay, which means we are going to print out 2, okay, and it is going to continue like that until this condition is false, okay? So let us save, and then we try to compile, and then we run. As you can see, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So if we add a space here, if we add the %d comma space like that, and then we compile again, then we run, as you can see, we get 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, like that, okay? We get them like that, okay? So let us now take a look at arrays and the user input, okay? So you can also read values into an array, okay, from the user, okay, like this. Let me go here. I have an example here that I can show you. Let me just copy all of the code here. So here we are going to be getting 5 numbers from the user, and I'm going to be explaining what will be taking place. Let me paste everything there, and let me first leave the terminal like that. So here we have our numbers, okay? We initialize our array and we give it, it is going to have a maximum of 5 elements, okay? So after doing that, we are going to use the printf to print out this statement, this message, enter 5 numbers, okay? Then from there, we are going to use the loop, okay, to get all the numbers, okay, by looping through, okay? So we are going to do this. So at first, our integers, our int is going to be, our index is going to be 0, okay? It's going to be 0. Then from there, we add this is going to be the condition. So I is going to be less than 5, okay? Then we are going to be incrementing. Then inside here, what are we going to first do? We are going to first ask the user if this condition is true, if I, when it is 0, if it is less than 5, which is true, this one is going to run. We are going to scan, we are going to use the scanf function to to get the number, okay, the first element from the user, and to get the first element from the user. Okay, so after getting the first element, we are going to loop. Okay, this loop is going to continue again. It is going to repeat. Okay, after repeating, but before repeating, this I is going to be incremented. So we are now going to set I to be 1. Okay, to be 1. Okay, so from 0 to 1. Okay, so then the condition is going to be checked. If 1 is less than 5, then if it is true, then this one is going to run. Okay, until we get all the 5 elements, until this one becomes false. Okay, so we are going to get these ones. Let me explain what is taking place in the scanf. Okay, so here we are accessing the memory address of the numbers. Okay, the numbers. Okay, and then here we are accessing like the variable. Okay, we are accessing the variable at a certain index. Okay, at a certain index. Okay, like in memory. Okay, but at a certain index. Here this one is going to give us the memory address of that arrays. Okay, that array. Okay, that all array. Okay, so then here we are going to access the elements at a certain index in that memory locations. Okay, in that memory locations, and there we are going to set it to be a certain number that the user has inserted. Okay, using this scanf. Okay, so after doing that, we are going to come here. We're going to come here, and then we print out this message. You have entered. Then from there you have entered. Then we move the cursor to the next line using the \n. Then from there we are going to use this for loop to iterate through. Okay, to get all the elements. Okay, in our numbers array. Okay, using this index that we set to 0, as you can see. So you know what this does. So here we print everything. Okay, so let me save. After saving, I'm going to open my terminal. Then I'm going to compile. After compiling, I'm going to run. As you can see, enter 5 numbers. We enter 5, press enter, enter 6, press enter, enter 8, press enter, enter 1, press enter, enter 3, until we end. If we press enter, as you can see again, you have entered these ones. Okay, 5, 6, 8, 1, 3. Okay, like that, as we have entered them. Okay, as we have entered them. So we can format this one like this. So we can format like this. So we can do that. So this one is going to bring them back. Okay, so we are going to get them back the way we entered them. Okay, so if we save and then we compile, then we run, as you can see, we enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, we get out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, as you can see, you have entered these ones. Okay, so that's how we can do it. Let us now take a look at the multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, so C allows arrays with more than one dimension. Okay, so these ones are often called used for matrices or tables. Okay, so let me show you how you can declare a multi-dimensional array. So let us delete all of this code. Let me first exit this terminal, and I remove all this code here. So in order to create a multi-dimensional array, what do? You first of all, you need to provide the data type. Okay, so it can be the data type of the array. Okay, it can be integer, float, character, like that. Okay, so from there we need to provide the array name. Okay, the array name, like that. Then from there you need to provide the laws. Okay, so here we are going to have the laws. Okay, in integers. Okay, in integers. Then from there you need to provide the columns. Okay, the columns also in form of integers, like that. Okay, so let us take a look at an example. So here I have an example here. Let me go here. Here I have a multi-dimensional array. I'm going to explain. Guys, don't worry, I'm going to explain. Let me copy everything. Come here, allow me to paste whatever I've copied. So this is what we have. So I told you we need to first provide the data type of those elements that are going to be in this array. Then from there we are going to provide the name. Okay, so here it is going to be called the matrix. Then from there we use the square brackets to provide the number of rows. Okay, so here we are having 2 rows. Okay, 2 rows, and from there we use another pair of square brackets, and then inside here we provide the number of columns. Okay, so from there we initialize. Okay, we initialize our our array, and then you should note that here we specify that the number of rows are 2. Okay, so as you can see, we have the first one, we have one, that is the first, and then 2. These are 2. So there are 2 rows. Okay, from there we specified that the number of columns must be 3. Okay, so as you can see, the columns, these are the first one. So from 1 to 4, 1, 4, that is the first column, 2, 5, that is the second column, and 3, 6, that is the third column. Okay, so from there we are going to loop through all. Okay, so we are going to loop through all using a for loop. I told you a for loop is the one of the most used loop. Okay, in C. Okay, in most of the programming languages, it is one of the mostly used one. Okay, so from there we come here. So here we are looping through. So we set the index to 0, and from there we set the index is going to be less than, okay, the row, okay, the number of rows, which is 2. Here you can name it rows, but here the number of rows, they are 2. Okay, so from there we increment. We are going to be incrementing like that. Then inside here, inside this for loop, we are going to nest another for loop. Okay, so this one is called nesting a for loop. Okay, nesting for loops, nested for loops. Okay, you can call them like that. Then here we are going to create another one. So this one, let me first explain. So during the first loop, I is going to be 0, isn't it? I is going to be 0. Okay, so if I is 0, it means we are accessing this first one. Okay, this first element. Okay, we are accessing this first set of arrays. Okay, so we are accessing this one. Okay, then if we are accessing this one, then we have another loop inside that one. So another loop is going to give us all these elements. Okay, all of these elements one by one. Okay, inside this first array. Okay, inside this multi-dimensional array. Okay, so inside that one, remember we are now inside this first array. Okay, this first array, which is the first element of the multi-dimensional array. Okay, which is called the matrix. So inside there, we are going to loop through all the elements. So here we set, so the number of elements, they are 3. Okay, they are 3. Okay, as you can see, they are 3. So here we use the 3. So this j is going to be less than 3. Okay, because we started from 0. So the j we started from 0, and then which means we are now accessing 0, 1, and 2. Okay, which are the indexes of these elements. Okay, so we are going to be incrementing. As you can see here, we are going to use the printf function, and we are going to access our matrix. Okay, we are going to access our matrix, which is we use the matrix, the name of the array, the dimension array, and from there we are accessing the number of rows. Okay, we are accessing the row that we are on. Okay, and we are on the first row. Okay, so we are on the first row, which is here. As you can see, I is now 0. Okay, right now I is 0. Before incrementing, it is 0. Okay, which means we are on this row. Okay, we are on this row. Okay, on that row, we now want to access a number on a certain column. Okay, on a certain column, which is j, and now j is 0. Okay, which means we are going to access 1. Okay, we're going to be accessing 1. Okay, at index 0. Okay, then from there, this loop is not going to contain, the first is not going to continue. The first loop is not going to continue until this loop finishes. Okay, then after finishing, which means we have printed all these elements. Okay, we are going to increment I, and then we go to the next array. Okay, which is the element, which is an array in a multi-dimensional array called matrix. This one. Okay, and the process is going to continue until all these ones, okay, are printed out. Okay, so I think you have understood. Let us go down here. Let us open our terminal. So here, terminal, instead of new terminal, let me just bring my previous terminal, but the cursor have failed me. Let me just open a new terminal like that. But instead I can go back like that. So I'm going to compile. After compiling CLS to do that, then to clear the screen, then from there I'm going to run my file. As you can see, we get this bam 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 bam. We get this output. As you can see, we get 1 4 pro something. Okay, some strange values. Okay, get these strange values. Okay, which we didn't hope to get. So let me save again. I compile, then I run. As you can see, I'm getting these values. Okay, let me try to see what is the problem. Okay, So let us take a look at this problem here. Let's take a look at the problem. So the problem here is that we incremented I, as you can see here. In this loop where we were using j, we incremented the I instead of j. So let us remove, and then we put j from there. So if we save and then we increase the terminal, then from there we compile and then we run. As you can see, we get 1, 2, 3, and then this is the first array, this is the first array, and this is the second array. Okay, so that is it about the multi-dimensional array. You can use them. So this one, you can call it a 2D array. Okay, you can create a 3D array as you want, but this one is called a 2D array. Okay, so play out with them. They are really important when it starts to organizing data, when it comes to like data structures. Okay, use of data structures, it is very important. Arrays are very important. Okay.